Shalom, brothers and sisters, and once again, this is Brother Brandon Judah Duffy, bringing you another video concerning Solid Foundation International Ministries, S.F.I.M, and once again, this is the topic, the origin of Christmas. We're going to show you basically that Christmas is a pagan holiday, that it has nothing to do with Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This is not your custom. This is the way of the heathen. This is the way of the Gentile. And you Israelite brothers and sisters, it's time for you to awake and return back to your customs and your heritage, and step up to the calling according to the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. We want to say all praises and glorification to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honor to the elders, and also salutations to the Akim who's preaching the truth and sincerity. All right, so let's get into this short tape concerning Christmas. All right, Akim and Akwayim. We're going to start from Proverbs 3 and 31, reading from the King James Holy Bible. That's Proverbs 3 and 31. Okay, this is what it reads. It says, Proverbs 3 and 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. So that's Proverbs 3 and 31. It says, envy thou not the oppressor. What it means when it says envy thou not the oppressor. The oppressor is the so-called white man and all the other Gentile nations that are oppressing you Israelites. Okay, that is your oppressor. The oppressors are non-Israelitish people. Believe it or not, people that are not descendants of Jacob, people that are not from the bloodline of Jacob. Those are your oppressors. So to speak, Gentiles. It says, Proverbs 3 and 31, envy thou not the oppressor. So you don't supposed to be jealous of the oppressor. That's what it means when it says, envy thou not the oppressor. You don't supposed to be jealous of the so-called white man and all the heathens. You don't supposed to envy thou oppressor. It says, envy thou not the oppressor. So don't be jealous because the white man is celebrating his holidays, because we're going to primarily be talking about Christmas. So don't get jealous because the white man is celebrating Christmas and you feel as though you got to celebrate Christmas with the so-called white man. Because to truth be told, Christmas is white supremacy. That's all Christmas glorifies, white supremacy. All right? Every biblical character, every aspect is white supremacy, man. And in fact, that's what Christianity is all about, white supremacy. So envy thou not the oppressor. Don't do what the so-called white man is doing. If he's going to do that, let him do that. But envy thou not the oppressor. You don't supposed to be following the ways of the so-called white man, who is the devil. You don't supposed to be following his ways in other nations that are not Israelites. You don't supposed to envy their customs, be jealous of their customs and heritage and their ways of living. You don't suppose, you Israelites, you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, who are the Jews the Bible speaks of, you don't supposed to be jealous of other heathenistic nations and their customs. You don't supposed to envy them. That's what it means when it says envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. That's self-explanatory. You don't supposed to choose the heathens or Gentile ways. You don't supposed to be a part of their customs and their way of living. And we know that all these holidays glorifies the so-called white man. The holidays is basically white people celebrations and events and things of that nature. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you supposed to be celebrating your holy days according to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, speaks on ceremonial laws, which are holy days that the Most High gave to the nation of Israel. And that's what you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans supposed to be celebrating, not this white man's holidays, not these Gentiles, these heathens' customs. You supposed to shun that. You supposed to avert that, stay away from those things. That's why it says, envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. That was Proverbs 3 and 31. We're going to give you another one dealing with Jeremiah the 14th chapter, because Christmas actually is a Babylonian custom. It started with the ancient Babylonians, which are the modern day Ethiopians, which are Africans, okay? So Christmas goes all the way back to ancient Babylon, which is modern day today's Iraq, all right? So Christmas was being celebrated way before Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus Christ, was born. That's what you must realize. Christmas did not originate or wasn't established after the birth of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Christmas actually was worshipped and celebrated way before the birth of Christ, man. All right, now, so just keep in mind, Christ was born somewhere around 4 BC, and you had Babylonians and heathenistic nations celebrating that madness way before the birth of Christ, man. And I'm going to give you the perfect account dealing with Jeremiah chapter 10. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. It says, hear ye the word, the Lord Yahweh speaking to you, O house of Israel. So he's talking to Native Americans, Hispanics, and Negroes today. You are the Israelites, believe it or not. The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are Israel. So when it says, according to Jeremiah 10 and 1, hear ye the word which the Lord speaking to you, O house of Israel. He's talking about you people of Negro and Indian descent, primarily blacks and Hispanics. You supposed to hear the word which the Most High Yahweh, the Lord speaking to you. It says, you hear the word, O house of Israel. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Thus said the way of the heathen. So, Hispanics, Native Americans, Negroes, you don't supposed to learn the ways of the heathen, because we brought that out dealing with Proverbs 3 and 31 too, when it says, envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. You don't supposed to learn the customs of the heathenistic ways. And this just is a second account dealing with Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 2. Thus said the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen. What is a heathen? A heathen is a non-Israelitish person. You can see the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary for just look at the term heathen. In fact, I want to get that right quick. All right, for you brothers and sisters, dealing with the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. All right, and you can define heathen or you can define Gentile. So brothers and sisters, just come with me right quick. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the studio, and we just going in the bag right now. For you brothers and sisters to see this, and what we're doing is we're trying to find the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, which is right here, Compact Bible Dictionary, the Zondervan. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna define the word heathen. And this is page 220 of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. It says a heathen. It says people, nation, usually used for non-Israelitish people, and thus meaning of Gentile. So a heathen is a non-Israelitish person, and that's page 220. And defining the word heathen with the Compact Bible Dictionary, Zondervan. So a heathen is a non-Israelitish person. Now when you look at Gentile, let's go to the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary and define the word Gentile as well, because heathen and Gentile are synonymous. I just want to show you this. It's basically like synonyms. Heathen and the term Gentile. Now I'm going to read Gentile to show you that heathen and Gentile they're not different. They are actually the same. It says Gentile. This is page 195. Gentiles says a nation, people. Usually it means a non-Israelite person. So that's page 195, dealing with the term Gentile, coming from the Compact Bible Dictionary. That's page 195, dealing with Gentile. And we also went over page 220, dealing with heathen. And heathen and Gentiles are synonymous, which means a non-Israelite person. So when you go back into Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2, it tells Israel to learn not the way of the heathen. That means people that are not Israelites. So if they're not from your nation, you don't supposed to be learning their customs, their heritage, or any of their ways. Dealing with Proverbs 3 and 31. And be not the oppressor, choose none of his ways. Dealing with Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2, learn not the way of the heathen. It says, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. This is Jeremiah 10 and 2. So learn not the way of the heathen and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. Don't let the sun, the moon, and the stars, don't get caught up in that astrology, sun, moons, and stars and stuff in that nature. Don't let the signs of heaven astonish you. You're supposed not to be dismayed at the signs of heaven. All right? Because you had heathens and Gentiles that was worshiping the sun, moon, and the stars, because that's what Christmas is all about, sun worship. Okay, dealing with the ancient Babylonian king Nimrod. All right, Nimrod Semiramis and Tammuz. That's what Christmas is dealing with. Those three. As you can see right here, I want to show you, brothers and sisters. I don't know if you can see it really good, but this is Semiramis right there. That's Semiramis, Nimrod, and Tammuz. Okay, the Babylonian Messiah, the boy king, Tammuz. So this is where the Trinity also, you know, the Roman Catholic, the Vaticans, they kind of distorted that Trinity, the 3-in-1. They mixed that with paganistic customs, which is Semiramis, Nimrod, and Tammuz, as you can see. And it says right here, Semiramis was the moon goddess of ancient Babylon, and Nimrod was the sun deity of ancient Babylon, and Tammuz was the son they had. So actually, Nimrod and Semiramis was the mother of Nimrod, also his wife, because she married her own son, Nimrod, okay? And the child didn't come from Nimrod, okay? Because Nimrod died actually before this child was conceived. Nimrod died. She had this child, Tammuz, from one of Nimrod's high priests, I want to say. She slept with one of Nimrod's priests and begot Tammuz after Nimrod's death, because Nimrod was killed by the son of Noah, which is Shem. And Shem hacked Nimrod's body into like 14 pieces, you know, and he hacked his body into 14 pieces, and he threw his reproductive organ into the Nile River. All right, that's his phallic symbol, his penis. Actually, he hacked him up in 14 pieces, and he threw his penis in the Nile River. And Nimrod, that was the end of Nimrod. He was hacked down. He was killed. The ancient Babylonian king was killed by Shem. And Semiramis, she had to basically come up with a quick lie to get the people to believe that Nimrod was still living on, because if she didn't, then the kingdom that they had established, the Babylonian kingdom, it would have instantaneously failed, knowing that Nimrod was dead. So what she did was she made up Semiramis. Actually, she was also the first one who established a false religion in the earth. She came up with a story and then told the people of the Chaldeans. She told those people that Nimrod, he had risen and became the burning sun, and that his name was now to be called Baal. All right, so Nimrod, another name for Nimrod is Baal. Okay, that's what Semiramis has told the people of ancient Babylon. She told those Chaldeans that Nimrod, after he was killed by Shem, as you can see right here, Shem killed Nimrod, and you can see him holding the head of Nimrod right here, but he killed him and then hacked him in 14 pieces. And after Nimrod's death, Semiramis didn't want to tell the people of the kingdom that during that time her and Nimrod was reigning. She didn't want to tell the people that Nimrod was actually murdered. So she made up a false story saying that Nimrod now has risen and became the burning sun, and they called him Baal. All right, and you can see right there it says sun god. So after Nimrod's death by Shem, she lied to the people and said that he risen and became the burning sun, and now he's to be worshipped, and he's to be worshipped within a flame or some type of source of light, because he became the sun. And that's what Christmas is all about. It's about sun worship. That's all it's about. Nimrod, sun worship. All right. And you around December, just keep in mind, around December 24th, that's like, you know, the weakest day of the year for the sun, because the sun loses a lot of energy around that time. I think December 24th. And what the pagans did was they used to hold celebrations and feasts, and they used to hail honor to the sun, show reverence to the sun, believing that the sun will come back and reheat the earth at its full potential. And after Nimrod's death, you know, like I said, Semiramis sided with one of Nimrod's priests, and she slept with one of Nimrod's priests, and Nimrod's priest impregnated Semiramis, right? And Semiramis eventually conceived a child named Tammuz. All right, we'll bring that out too. She eventually conceived a child named Tammuz. And she told everybody that Tammuz was a representation of the reincarnated Nimrod. All right, Tammuz, because that's all Christmas is about. When you see the Virgin Mary, all right, when you see the little false ass images of Mary, because we know Mary as her real name is Miriam. Mary was a black woman, which is the mother of Yahushua, okay, and Joseph was a black man, but they don't portray that today. They don't display that today. They display false images, European pictures of white Mary and white Joseph and white Christ. But anyways, that modern day white image of Mary and that modern day white image of Jesus, that's actually Semiramis and Tammuz. All right, as you can see right here, the Babylonians, you see Semiramis and Tammuz, and then you had the Indians, you had Krishna, right there. You see, right there for the East Indians, Krishna and Vishnu, I want to say, and then it just goes on, man. You see these images of Semiramis and Tammuz. You see the Egyptian goddess Isis and Horus. Isis was Semiramis and Tammuz as well. Okay, and then you see right here the Roman Catholic Mary. Okay, as you can see right there, Mary, the so-called white false ass image of Mary and Christ, so-called false ass Christ. All right, you can see right there, Mary is Semiramis and Christ is Tammuz. Just like you see Semiramis and Tammuz here, people, because the so-called white man, he has deceived the world with deceit and deception, and that's your modern day Virgin Mary and child, Semiramis and Tammuz. I just want to throw that out, okay? And that's what Christmas. These are the top two icons for Christmas, because they push this baby, this white baby Jesus, all right, at his fullest potential. And today there's just Semiramis and Tammuz. As you can see, Semiramis and Tammuz, man. All right. So we know Tammuz was not even a white boy. Tammuz was actually a Babylonian, so he was dark skinned. But now, you know, throughout iconoclasm, they whitewash all the images. That modern day Semiramis and Tammuz basically is the white Mary and white Jesus, man. Don't get it misunderstood, okay? And that's what Christmas is all about, the worship of Tammuz, which is reincarnated Nimrod. I'm going to bring something out for you brothers and sisters dealing with Ezekiel, the 8th chapter, all right? So I'm going to show you in Ezekiel, the 8th chapter. All right, brothers and sisters, and we'll look at Ezekiel chapter 8, and we'll start with Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 11. It says, "And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel, and in the midst of them stood Jesniah the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud and incense went up." This is Ezekiel 8 and 12. It says, "Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of this house of Israel do in the dark?" Because you had wicked Israelites during that time, participating in pagan customs and rituals. All right, so it says, "Then he said unto me, Son of man," this is Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 12. "Then he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of this house of Israel do in the dark? Every man in the chambers of his imagery." See, because their imagery is images, so they was worshiping graven images. "For they say, The Lord seeth us not, the Lord hath forsaken the earth." Ezekiel 8 and 13. He said it also unto me. He said also unto me, "Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do." So he told Ezekiel, man, he said, he called him the Son of Man. He said, "I'm going to show you more greater abominations that these wicked Israelites are participating in." Ezekiel 8 and 14. "Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house." That was the Jerusalem temple that they defiled. "Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was towards the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz." So Ezekiel 8 and 14, it says there was certain Israelite women that was weeping for Tammuz. Now who was Tammuz? Right here, the Babylonian boy king, the Babylonian Messiah, the boy king, the reincarnated Nimrod, so to speak, Tammuz. Right there. As you can see the wings, he's also Cupid during Valentine's Day. So you can see Tammuz. That's who those wicked ass Israelites, those women was crying over. See, they was crying over Tammuz because the story behind Tammuz is that Tammuz wanted to be a mighty hunter like his father, and Tammuz went out to the field one day to hunt a wild boar, and he ends up getting killed by a wild hog. Basically, he was bored, okay, so to speak. Not bored, but so lucky he was gored. So a wild hog gored Tammuz, because you know those boars, those wild hogs with those tusks on each side of their mouth. Tammuz was out hunting for a wild hog one day, and you can read the story on it. And a wild hog gored Tammuz with his tusks, ripped him open, man, ripped his chest open. His entrails were hanging out, and Tammuz died because he was killed by a wild hog. And they said that his blood spilled on the stump of an evergreen tree, and that evergreen tree sprouted up, and that was the reincarnated Tammuz / Nimrod. So the Christmas tree that you set up in your house, man, is nothing but a representation or icon of Tammuz and Nimrod, man. All right, and that's exactly what Ezekiel chapter 8 verse 14 is talking about. Those women that was weeping for Tammuz. That's also your 40 days of Lent, because you have in these cathedrals, these Christian organizations, they have a ceremony called 40 days of Lent, and that also came from that paganistic ritual when you had certain pagan women that was weeping over Tammuz. Okay, and that's exactly what's going on according to Ezekiel 8 and 14. Okay, so there's sought women weeping for Tammuz. Who is Tammuz? The son of S.F.I.M. Okay, and another thing, S.F.I.M claim that she conceived Tammuz by not going through the seed of a man. She claimed that she didn't go through the sperm of a man to conceive this child. What that sound like? That sounds like, once again, Roman Catholicism about that white ass, false ass image of Mary and that white ass, false ass image of Joseph. Okay, they say Mary and Joseph basically didn't have sexual relations, that Mary conceived the child by not going through the sperm of Joseph. Now we know that's BS. You Israelites that's in the truth, we know that Joseph basically was Christ's biological father. The 1/3, the elect. You know what I'm saying? If Lord willing, we the elect. You know what I'm saying? We know that Joseph and Mary basically actually had a performance, had sexual intercourse, and Joseph was his biological father, that Christ came from his bloodline, his sperm line. But according to Catholicism and Christianity, they tell you that Virgin Mary and Joseph didn't have sexual relations, that Mary conceived the child through the Holy Ghost. You know what I'm saying? Basically, and they don't understand that. So that's synonymous to S.F.I.M conceiving Tammuz. She claimed that she conceived Tammuz through the rays of the sun. That claimed that after Nimrod was killed, he became the sun god, and the rays of the sun shined forth on her belly, and she became impregnated through the rays of the sun of Nimrod that supposedly had risen and became the burning sun. She claimed that his rays, his heat waves, the UV rays, impregnated her by these ray lights hitting her stomach, causing her to conceive a child. And that's the same thing with your Roman Catholicism, man. The Mary in Christ, she claimed that she was conceived Christ by not going through the seed of a man. You see that madness, man? So you can see how that pagan Christianity has pagan DNA. You know, that's all Christianity is, paganism. It has roots to pagan DNA. You cannot be a Christian without being a pagan. All right? You cannot. It's impossible. Because Constantine, or some may say Constantine, he blended paganism with Christianity. Okay, around the year 324 AD, at the Council of Nicaea, he blended paganism with Christianity. So to be a Christian is to be a pagan, you know, because it has pagan roots, you know. So I thought I'd put that out, dealing with S.F.I.M and Tammuz, man, which is the modern day Virgin Mary in Christ. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it moving. Okay, so this is Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 15. Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abomination than these. You see, Ezekiel 8:16. He brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, that was that temple, and behold, at the door of the temple, the Lord, behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs towards the temple of the Lord, and their faces towards the east, and they worship the sun towards the east. So, dealing with Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 16, it says that there were about 25 men, which is 25, right? Okay? It said there were about 25 men with their backs, it says, turned towards the temple, and their faces towards the east. You see right there? There was about 25 men, okay, with their backs turned towards the temple and their face towards the east. 25 men, which is 25 men. Who they say was born on December 25th? They say Jesus Christ. So why it had to take 25 men for this ritual? Because that proves that Tammuz was born on December 25th, y'all. Okay? This is no joke. This is truth. This is history. Tammuz was born on that very day, December 25th, and that's why exactly it took 25 men, according to Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 16, for this S.F.I.M ritual. Do your research, y'all. I'm not making it up, man. And also pursuing Ezekiel 8:16, it says 25 men with their backs towards the temple of the Lord and their faces towards the east, because they had their faces towards the east, and this also is the origin of Easter, because Easter is dealing with more of ceramics. When Easter time come around, it's dealing with more ceramics on her behalf. Christmas is dealing with Nimrod and Tammuz on their behalf, more of their behalf. Christmas is dealing with more of Nimrod and Tammuz behalf. Easter is dealing with more of ceramics behalf. So, I mean, you Christians out there, man, that want to keep on continuing to celebrate these pagan customs, man, be my guest. But if you don't repent, you're going to be put to death. And that's just simple as that, man. I mean, because, I mean, we've been in captivity for over 400 years now, nearly 400 years. And you brothers and sisters, man, if you don't see the pattern by now, I don't know what to say, because they perpetuate these holidays because they want to install these wicked customs in you Native Americans, you Negroes, you Hispanics' mind. But that's why the so-called white man perpetually keep doing this yearly, because he has to keep that up. Because more likely, if you are to do something over and over and over and over and over and over again, you're going to assimilate to it. And this is what the so-called white man has done to the Native Americans, you Negroes and you Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? We was brought here, you so-called Negroes, who the real Jews the Bible speaks of. You was brought here slaves, in the 1600s, really primarily dealing with the 1500s from on up, man. And basically, what has happened, you have learned the ways of the heathen. You have, throughout your captivity, you have learned their customs, their traditions, and things in that nature. So basically, you've been spoiled, man, as a nation. You know what I'm saying? And you have forgotten your heritage, and you have learned the customs of the so-called white man. So, another thing I want to bring out is I think it's Jeremiah. I want to say Isaiah. I don't know. Let's see. Let's get that right quick. Let's see. Let's see. Can we find that right quick? When it was talking about, is Israel a homeborn slave? You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Can we find that right quick on Blue Letter? Let's see. Can we find that right quick, brothers and sisters? Let's see. This is Blue Letter Bible. I mean, let's type in homeborn slave. Let's type that in. Homeborn slave, and then I'll pull it up, because I want to bring something out to show you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans that you've been spoiled. So that's as you can see right here, that's Jeremiah 2:14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? This is a question that Jeremiah asked the Most High, man. He say, is Israel a damn servant? Because that's all we've been doing. This is Jeremiah 2 and 14. That's all we've been doing throughout our captivity. Serving the so-called white man, being part of his customs and his traditions. And Jeremiah asked the question, that's all you made the nation of Israel to do, serve? Is Israel just a servant? Is if Israel gonna serve their oppressors for the rest of their lives? You Negroes and Hispanics, are you servants? Is he a homeborn slave? Because America has made you just that. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You is a homeborn slave in America, in this wicked system, man. Because you have failed to return to your heritage. You have learned all your customs and philosophies from the so-called white man. You're a homeborn slave. You don't even know your holy days. But you so quick to indulge in every last one of this white man's holidays. You're a homeborn slave, man. Also, it says, why is he spoiled? You've been spoiled. I mean, think about it. For us to be in captivity for over, like, you know what I'm saying, 400 years, you can look for someone to be spoiled. Every last one of the captivities Israel was in, they were spoiled. Beginning with the Egyptians. The Egyptians spoiled them. The Assyrians spoiled them. The Babylonians spoiled them. The Medo-Persian Empire spoiled them. The Greeks spoiled them. The Romans spoiled them. Now the revived Roman Empire, man. So is Israel a homeborn slave? Is he a servant? Why is he spoiled? You've been spoiled, you Negroes. You've been spoiled with Christmas, man. You've been spoiled with Santa Claus. You've been spoiled with cookies and milk under the tree. You've been spoiled with kissing under the mistletoe. All this BS, man. All this nonsense. You've been spoiled, man. That was Jeremiah 2 and 14. All right. Okay, so I want to elaborate more on this, bring out more about this, man. Brothers and sisters, just hold on. Another thing we want to deal with. They say that Jesus Christ, who we know as Yahushua, they say that he was born on December 25th. Is that in the Bible? Is there anywhere in the Bible where it says he was born on December 25th? No, it's not in the Bible. But however, we can show you when he was born. Because many of you so-called Christians, you claim that the Bible doesn't state the birth of Christ. It does state the birth of Christ in a subliminal way. You know what I'm saying? And we'll show you that as well. But we're going to deal with December 25th because Christ was not born on December 25th. All right? December 25th, Christ was not born. And why? We're going to show you why according to this article that I pulled up on the web, which is called The Origin of Christmas. Now, just listen along as I read, okay? It says, let's start right, I know you can't see this, brothers and sisters, but just listen, all right? It's going to talk about the birth of Christ. It says, meteorologists as well as historians and astronomers have something of importance to contribute to this question of the fixing date of the birth of Jesus, okay? So this is what it's talking about, the account of the birth of Jesus. It says, according to St. Luke, and there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. That's St. Luke chapter 2, verse 8. Okay, so I just want to show you brothers and sisters proof. As you can see, I have a book right here before me. See this book? This actually is a Jehovah Witnesses book. Now, we're not Jehovah Witnesses. You Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are Israelites. But I do study because I have to be ready for Jehovah Witnesses and Christians and Muslims and Buddhists, whatever come our way, I have to be ready for. So even the Jehovah Witnesses, let me tell you something. Jehovah Witnesses don't celebrate holidays. I think the only holiday they celebrate is Easter. So they don't celebrate holidays. They have more better sense than you Christians. I mean, think about it. But we're going to show you the account on Christ's birthday. Even Jehovah Witnesses know the truth. This book is called You Can Live Forever in Paradise on Earth. Okay. And this is page 213. It says, I know you brothers and sisters can't see it, but just try to bear along. And these are false ass images, so don't pay attention to these whitewashed images. It says, since at Jesus' birth, shepherds were still in the fields with their flocks at night. He could not have been born on December 25th. Why? I'm going to show you. I'm going to read more. It says, Christmas is a permanent religious holiday today, but history shows that it was not a celebration observed by the very early Christians, and they weren't called Christians at all. They're really known as the Jews, all right? That term Christians is false too. All right. However, even though we call him Christ, he was not called Christ 2,500 years ago. It says Jesus, who we know as Yahweh, it says, I'm still reading this article. Jesus told his followers to observe a memorial of his death, not his birth, which can be found in 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, 24th verse, stopping on 26th verse. It says the fact is December 25th is not the date of Jesus' birth. It could not have been, since the Bible shows that at the time of his birth, it says that shepherds were still in the fields at night. They would not have been there in the cold, rainy season of the winter. So when Yahushua was born, it was shepherds still in the field. It was shepherds still abiding in the field. That can be found in Luke chapter 2, verse 8, stopping on the 12th verse. It says actually December 25th was chosen as a date to celebrate Jesus' birth because as the World Book Encyclopedia explains, this is in the World Book of the Encyclopedia, it explains that the people of Rome was already observing it as the Feast of Saturn. They called it the Feast of Saturnalia as well. And they were celebrating it. And basically, they said that the people of Rome was already observing this pagan custom, and what they was doing was celebrating the birthday of the sun. See? So, December 25th is primarily sun worship, man. It's all about who? Nimrod. And who we told you Tammuz was? The reincarnated Nimrod. So Seramis speaks. She said that he was Nimrod reincarnated. Another book to be sure to get, brothers and sisters. Be sure to pick up the Two Babylons. I don't have that book, but it should be coming in the mail anytime I ordered that book, and it tells you about this pagan custom of Christmas and Easter and all these other pagan rituals, these pagan customs. The Two Babylons, I want to say by Alexander Hislop. Be sure to get that book. It tells you about this wicked custom of Christmas and all these other pagan holidays. So Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus Christ, he wasn't born on December 25th, y'all, because it was shepherds still in the field. All right? We're going to bring that out. Let's go to Luke 2. Luke chapter 2, verse 8. This is Luke chapter 2, verse 8. Man, you brothers and sisters, man, I'm telling you, you better get you a new thinking cap or something, man. You better get some knowledge on you, man, because you've been lied to, man. Straight up. That's Luke chapter 2, verse 8. We're going to read about Yahushua's birth. Dealing with Luke chapter 2, verse 8. Take notes, brothers and sisters. Listen up. We're in the book of Luke chapter 2. We'll begin with verse... let's see. We'll begin with Luke chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Now, Caesar Augustus was the first Roman emperor, and he was the longest reigning Caesar out of all the Caesars. I was called Caesar Augustus. He was a Roman emperor, okay? And actually, that's where August come from. All right, that's where August come from. The month of August come from Augustus. All right, so Caesar Augustus, he wrote a decree, basically that all the world should be taxed, pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? This is Luke chapter 2, verse 2. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. St. Luke chapter 2, verse 3. And all went to be taxed, everyone into his own city. St. Luke chapter 2, verse 4. And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea and to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the lineage of David. All right, Luke chapter 2, verse 5. To be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being with great child. Okay, so Miriam, that's the real name of Mary, a black woman. She had a child, and we know that child as Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, who the world called Jesus Christ. He wasn't white, he was a black Negro child. All right, he will be a Negro today, so to speak, but we know that he was a Jew from the tribe of Judah. Luke chapter 2, verse 6. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. Luke chapter 2, verse 7. And she brought forth her firstborn. That's Mary giving birth to Yahushua, who the world called Jesus Christ. She brought forth her firstborn son and wrapped them in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. Luke chapter 2 verse 8. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Now, around this time when Yahushua was born, it says that, according to Luke chapter 2 verse 8, that there were shepherds in the field. There were shepherds abiding in the field. What does that mean, to abide? To stay, to crash, man. They was crashing in the fields. They was sleeping in the fields, man. There were shepherds in the fields, abiding in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Now, if Yahushua was born during December 25th, I want you to know, in Palestine, Israel, around the time of December 25th, it is extremely cold. It is piercing cold. Okay? And we're going to show you proof for you brothers and sisters that don't want to believe that around December 25th that Palestine, Israel is not freezing. We're going to show you the truth. We're going to show you an account dealing with this article on the web. Let me show you this. It says right here, I know you brothers can't see it, but I'm going to read it because it's dealing with Yahushua's birth. Meteorologists, okay, have made an exact recordings of the temperature at Hebron. This spot is in the southern highlands. So Hebron, which is located in the southern highlands of Judah, exhibits the same climate conditions as Bethlehem. Okay, which is not far distance. So Bethlehem is not far distance from Hebron, okay, which is located in the southern highlands of Judah. Bethlehem is not too far from Hebron, and it says they have exactly the same climate conditions. All right, it says the temperature readings, it says show over a period of 3 months that the incidence of frost is as follows. During the time of December, which is 2.8 degrees, January 1.6 degrees, February 0.1 degrees, and I'm talking about these are negatives, okay? These are negatives. December, around that time, December negative 2.8 degrees, January negative 1.6 degrees, and February negative 0.1 degrees. Because it's 3 months for a season, and that's December, January, and February. And all those months is negative below 1.6 degrees or 0.1 degrees. It says the first 2 months have also the greatest rainfall of the year. Okay, so December and January, around that time, it rains a lot. Now imagine it's already said that around that time in Palestine, Israel, that December is actually negative 2.8 degrees, and then it says around January is negative 1.6 degrees, and it says that the first 2 months have the greatest rainfall of the year. Now imagine it raining on top of that, man. Approximately 6 inches in December and nearly 8 inches in January. According to all the existing information, the climate of Palestine was not changed in the last 2,000 years. Consequently, modern meteorological observations can be taken as a basis. All right. So at Christmas time, Bethlehem is in the grip of frost. Yes, around this time, December 25th, Bethlehem is in the grip of frost. Okay, it's a blizzard, man. And in the promised land, which they call Israel. All right. In the promised land, no cattle would have been in the fields in that temperature. Pursuant to Luke 2 and 8, when it says there were shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over the flock by night. Man, if Yahushua was born during December 25th, during that time in Palestine, Israel, it's extremely cold. It says that no cattle would have been in the fields in that temperature. If they were, they would have died. They would have died because of frostbites, hypothermia. All right. This fact is borne out by a remark in the Talmud to effect that the neighborhood that the flocks were put out to grass in March and brought in again at the beginning of November, and they remained out in the opening for almost 8 months. All right. Now we know the Babylonian Talmud is satanic, but you see, even those Khazars over in the Middle East knows the truth. I mean, what more can I say, man? So around Christmas time nowadays, both animals and shepherds are undercover in Palestine. So it lets you know now, if you go in Palestine, Israel around this time, around Christmas time, it says basically both animals and shepherds are covered. They are undercover in Palestine. All right? What St. Luke tells us points therefore to the birth of Yahushua having taken place before the onset of winter. And actually, if you don't know, he was born during the springtime. Yahushua was born during the spring, not December 25th. We showed you who was born on December 25th, y'all. We showed you that I'm gonna show you this again. We showed you that Tammuz, see, December 25th. Also, Nimrod was born on December 25th. Let me show you that, brothers and sisters. So this is not the birth of Christ. Christ was not born on December 25th. As you can see, Nimrod, the holy god of paganism. Nimrod was born on December 25th. Not Christ, not Yahushua. Nimrod was born on December 25th. Okay? Nimrod, the Babylonian sun deity that came back as reincarnated Tammuz, which he died by a wild hog. His blood fell on the stump of an evergreen tree and it sprouted up as Tammuz, reincarnated into an evergreen tree. Or you can say that his spirit resided in the evergreen tree. All right? And we'll bring that out too. So you can see that Yahushua was not born during December 25th. However, we're going to show you exactly when he was born. Hold your horses. Let's go to Luke chapter 2, verse 40. And we're going to read that. Luke chapter 2, verse 40. It says, and the child grew and waxed strong in spirit, filled with wisdom. It's talking about Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus Christ. The child grew and waxed strong in spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. That was Luke chapter 2, verse 40. Let's go down to 41. This is talking about Yahushua and his parents at the Passover. Verse 41 out of Luke chapter 2. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year after the feast of the Passover. Okay, Luke chapter 2, verse 42. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. So, this letting you see, around that time, it says, out of Luke chapter 2, verse 42, when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. So, Yahushua turned the age of 12 around the time of the Passover. Okay, so that lets you see he was born actually during the springtime. And we're gonna bring that out. So let's read that over again. Let's read Luke chapter 2, verses 41 and 42. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. Luke chapter 2, verse 42. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. So Yahushua's birthday was around this time when he turned 12. All right? So we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1 to show you when he was born. Because he was born around the time of the Passover. Deuteronomy 16 and 1. Let's get that. Deuteronomy 16 and 1. It says, observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God, Yahweh. For in the month of the Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. So it says, Deuteronomy 16 and 1 says, observe the month of Abib. Abib is actually the month of March. It's the new year, actually. The first month of the year. That's what Abib means. Abib is located, Abib is March. We're going to show you that. So it says, observe the month of Abib, Deuteronomy 16 and 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt. So basically, we came out of Egypt after being in Egypt 430 years. We came out during the month of Abib, which was March, which was the first month of the year, which was the New Year's. January is not the New Year's, people. Wake the hell up, man. Pursuant to Proverbs 1 and 22, it says, how long ye simple ones will love simplicity. How long you simple-minded Negroes and Hispanics will continue to believe this BS from the so-called white man. January is not the first month of the year. January is technically the 11th month of the year. January comes from Janus, which was a Greek deity, a double-headed Greek deity, or some may say a Roman deity, Roman god with two heads. They called him Janus. Okay, so January is actually technically the 11th month of the year, not the first month of the year. That's why we brought this out in Deuteronomy 16:1 to show you around that time when Yahushua was born. Because it said during the Passover, when he turned 12 years old, they went up. So Deuteronomy 16:1 said, observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee out of Egypt by night. Now we're going to prove to you that the month of Abib is March. We're going back into the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, and we're going to show you page 13, and we're going to close out. All right? So this is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. All right, once again, brothers and sisters, Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, we're going to page 13, and we're going to define Abib. Because Deuteronomy 16:1 said, observe the month of Abib. So let's go to page 13 to see what Abib says concerning the Compact Bible Dictionary. All right? This is page 13. I don't know if you brothers and sisters can see this. I don't know if you can see this. This is Abib, Compact Bible Dictionary, page 13. I'll read it for you brothers, though, and you sisters. Abib, it means an ear of corn. The pre-exilic name for the first month of the year. Okay? It says, after the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. That's how you say it in Babylonian tongue. It says, it fell about the time of our March and early April. So Abib is what? It says, the pre-exilic name for the first month of the year. So Abib is the first month of the year. When is the first month of the year? March, not January. Okay, after the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. It fell about the time of what? March and early April. So Abib is the first month of the year, and it's March. It fell about the time of our March and early April. This is page 13, dealing with the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, to show you what Abib means. And it means, Abib means the first month of the year, which is March. So Deuteronomy 16:1 says, observe the first month of the year and keep the Passover. The Passover is the first month of the year. It's basically celebrated around the first month of the year. And we celebrate the Passover, I want to say, on March the 14th. I want to say March the 14th, which is the Passover, which is that's when the Passover is held. The first month of the year, man, which is March. So Yahushua was born during springtime. Okay? Because we showed you in Luke chapter 2, verse 40. We'll bring that out again. Just wanted to show you, man, that when he was born, so you brothers and sisters won't be confused. Luke chapter 2, verse 40. It says, and the child grew and waxed strong and spirit and filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. Luke chapter 2, verse 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover, because that shows you that they was keeping the laws. They was keeping the ceremonial laws. Okay, in Luke chapter 2, verse 42. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. So Yahushua turned 12 years old. When he turned 12? During the time of the Passover. When is the Passover? The month of Abib, dealing with Deuteronomy 16:1. What does Abib mean? Pursuant to the Compact Bible Dictionary, it means the pre-exilic name for the first month of the year, which begins during March and early April, which is the first month of the year. So that's when Yahushua was born, around springtime, not December 25th. Because guess who was born during December 25th? Nimrod was born December 25th. Tammuz was born December 25th. And that's exactly who you Negroes, Hispanics are worshiping, man. December 25th is all about Nimrod and Tammuz. Tammuz being the reincarnated Nimrod, which he was killed, and his blood fell on the stump of an evergreen tree, and that tree sprouted up and became Tammuz. Basically, Nimrod, the spirit of Nimrod, basically, in that tree. So that's what a Christmas tree represents, man. It's idol worship. That's why BP, at the BP station, Nimrod was known in the Bible as Baal PR. You can see that on BP, Baal PR. You see the burning sun. I mean, Christmas is about sun worship, man. The pagans actually assembled together to give reverence and praise the sun to reheat the earth again. All right? Which was known as Nimrod. So that's your Christmas, man. I could bring out more topics on this. But like I say, for the sake of time, man, I just wanted to share that with you brothers and sisters. Till next time, man, read more, learn more, change the globe. Wake up our brothers and sisters out there, man, nation of Israel. So, all praises and glorifications to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. To the next lesson, Shalom.